I want to talk about reaction from Washington, though, because as with most tragedies, of course, we're hearing from lawmakers, and this time it's no different. Louisiana Republican Senator Bill Cassidy tweeted his sympathy and prayers, saying his heart goes out to the victims and their families. But for fact's sake, according to the Nonpartisan Center for Responsive Politics, the NRA spent more than $2.8 million on Cassidy throughout his career. That includes campaign funding and ads attacking his opponents. Ohio Republican Senator Rob Portman tweeted about the heartbreaking news, sending his prayers. Prayers are important. Portman also has benefited from $3 million in support from the National Rifle Association. Iowa Republican Joni Ernst asked her followers to join in prayer for those at school and thanked first responders. And those first responders do deserve thanks. But the NRA, they boosted Ernst's election efforts to the tune of $3.1 million. Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who sought the Republican nomination for president in 2016 and spent the day tweeting updates, called it a terrible day you pray never comes. His campaign benefited from $3.3 million in funding and opposition attacks, thanks to the National Rifle Association. Colorado Senator Cory Gardner tweeted his heartbreak for the situation and prayers for the first responders. But the $3.9 million of NRA funds have been spent to boost his campaign and attack his opponents. Arizona Republican and a great American, John McCain, tweeted his prayers just a short time ago. Well, the National Rifle Association has spent more than $7.7 million on John McCain, the most of any lawmaker by far. Florida Governor Rick Scott ordered flags to be lowered to half staff, calling the shooting a senseless tragedy. Scott, who is up for re-election this year, he enjoys an A+ rating from the National Rifle Association. Vice President Mike Pence, he tweeted about heartache and prayers in the wake of the shooting. He's got an A rating with the NRA and enacted a number of laws as governor of Indiana, including legislation allowing firearms to be kept in vehicles on school property. President Trump tweeted his prayers, adding, "No child, teacher, or anyone else should ever feel unsafe in an American school." Well, the NRA spent more than $21 million supporting President Trump in his 2016 election. Almost $10 million in ads and other pro-Trump material, and $12 million attacking Hillary Clinton. The thoughts and prayers are with the victims. The dollars and cents are another story. MSNBC's Garrett Haake is live on Capitol Hill. Garrett, we've heard a lot about thoughts and prayers. We have heard from people like Paul Ryan. We've heard from Ted Cruz. We've heard from Marco Rubio. I know you have not had an opportunity to speak with them, but it already surprises me when Paul Ryan says what a tragedy this is, but we cannot have a knee-jerk reaction. I'm confused to how Paul Ryan defines knee-jerk, since nothing has happened since the 25 school attacks since Columbine, since Steve Scalise was shot during a congressional softball practice, since the Pulse nightclub shooting and the Vegas shooting. So knee-jerk, I don't really know the definition of. I know what jerks are. Knee-jerk, I guess I'm unclear. What are you hearing?
Well, Stephanie, what tends to happen in these cases is that Congress gets caught up in the moment. They get caught up in the particular issue of any given shooting, and they start to act, and then they stop. So after Newtown, remember, there was a whole conversation about improving the background check system. That lasted for weeks. It failed. After Las Vegas, we were talking about banning bump stocks. That conversation has gone essentially nowhere. After the shooting at the Texas church, there was a conversation about improving the National Instant Criminal Background Check system. That actually did pass the House. It has languished in the Senate. So in each of these shootings, there has been this feint towards action among at least one House of Congress, and then at the end of the day, nothing. So what you're starting to hear now, what I think is somewhat different about some of these other events, is a certain degree of moral outrage from some senators that I've spoken to this morning, including Kamala Harris from California. Take a listen.
What I'm going to say is going to sound a bit harsh. As a prosecutor for years, in appreciating homicide and being able to talk with a judge about it and a jury about it, I had to look at autopsy photographs. When you see the effect of this extreme violence on a human body, and especially the body of a child, maybe it will shock some people into understanding this cannot be a political issue. We have to be practical. I support the Second Amendment, but we have to have smart gun safety laws. And we cannot tolerate a society and live in a country with any level of pride when our babies are being slaughtered.
So, Stephanie, the question is, can that level of outrage be sustained, and can it be translated into anything on Capitol Hill? History says no, but everyone here, I think, is hoping perhaps this time's different.
Garrett, we've got to have more than conversations. It's certainly time for action. I think we need to bring some of those very eloquent high school students from down in Florida. Maybe they need to take a visit to the Hill.